learning new things and changing your brain is a lot like learning a sport or learning an instrument.
Yeah,
We all
setbacks are a part of it. Just don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah, there's no reason to jump into beating yourself up. You really need to just be able to look at it neutrally and say, okay, this is what didn't work, and this is what I want to practice
Mhm.
moving forward.
Hi, Haley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you on my podcast today. Um, can you please share your journey with us and how you arrived at coaching?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here as well. So I started out as a nutritionist. I got my degree in nutrition and exercise physiology, and started out as a clinical weight loss for a physician's group nutritionist, and really, really frustrating doing that job because as a classically trained nutritionist, you really focus on the diets and lists of foods that you're providing people with, and there's not much else, not much deeper support than
Mhm.
that. So when clients come back and say, "Well, yeah, but I just like want to eat ice cream," I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I don't know what to tell you." So that was really the beginning of my journey into coaching and really helping people understand what's going on in their brain and their mind at a much deeper level so that they can lose weight.
So you coach people who are trying to lose weight? Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. Is
Yes.
there any specific group of people that you try to help?
I mainly focus on women who want to lose about 30 pounds, but I find that I think I have maybe a little bit more of a masculine energy. A lot of men are come to me and
Yeah.
and want help as well. And I have a lot of women in that, you know, late 40s and 50s age range, and they're seeing their metabolism start to shift, and they're not really sure. They're also have very busy lives. There's kids in the house, they've got careers, and they're like, my brain is just wanting food all the time. It's constantly talking to me about eating. And I don't, on the one hand, I don't want to eat it because I want to be the weight that I want to be.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I do want to eat it, and I am, and I don't know how to handle it. So that's like kind of that emotional eating or the cravings piece is something that I really specialize in as well.
Yeah, so I actually I have a medical condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, which makes it difficult to lose weight. And on top of that, I went through a divorce and started working from home. And
Mhm.
so my lifestyle was so not healthy. And I
Yeah,
gained more than 30 pounds.
yeah.
And so a lot of my audience is also people who are either looking to transition out of a certain career or are trying to make changes after a divorce or stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, when you go through a major transition, that kind of adds to the stress to the whole, the whole picture.
100%. And that's actually how I really got into the focus that I have now, where I really focus on that emotional eating piece and our brain kind of like talking to us about eating all the time, is because I had a not completely similar to yours, but I quit my job as a clinical nutritionist and
Mm.
started my own business. And emotionally, mentally, I wasn't really equipped to handle it at the time. And so I sort of jumped feet first into a very stressful situation. And like you, I then suddenly I'm working for myself, I'm working from home, I'm making my own hours, I'm, sitting on the couch with my laptop all day. And all of the sudden my brain's just like, what's going to fix this is a snack.
Food.
Food is gonna do it. So I found myself like in the same situation. I was 30 pounds heavier than I'd been, and just watching my brain do, make all
Play
of this
tricks on us. Yeah.
play tricks on me. And I was like, what is going on? So as a nutritionist, the way that I was trained to help people lose weight. Here's your diet, here's your list of foods. And so I tried that route
Yeah.
to lose weight myself, and it didn't help. My brain was still talking about food all the time. I was still
Mhm.
wanting to eat all the time. And that's when I really was like, okay, there's something a lot deeper to this, and I
Yes.
need to go figure out what that is.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest obstacle is to consistent weight loss?
Your brain, your
Mhm.
mind. That is the biggest obstacle. Most people who come to me are, not most people, but some people come in and they're like, oh, it's my metabolism or it's my hormones or I just don't work out enough. I don't have the accountability that I need. And I'm like, behind all of that is your brain not on board to weigh what you want to weigh. It is
Yeah,
telling you to eat all of the time and you aren't equipped, you don't have the tools to manage that. That's what you really need is to understand what's going on in your brain and to know how to to have the tools to get yourself to a place where you genuinely don't want to eat that food in the moment.
absolutely. And so I know that you mentioned that challenges of being a nutritionist, but how does being a nutritionist helps you be a better weight loss coach?
I think there's a really deep understanding of how of food's role in our biology and physiology. There's a deep understanding of the metabolism of hormones, how all of that plays a role in our health. So from that perspective, it is really helpful. Um, but I feel like at this point in my career, I've so much of that I've had to set aside and just say it's not the food that matters as much as you, the individual, being able to tap in and understand what's going on in your body and what's going on in your mind. So being able to tap into your own hunger signals, being able to tap into your own satiety signals, being able to recognize when a food doesn't really feel good in your body or it doesn't give you the energy that you want
Mhm.
or it upsets your stomach or it makes you bloat. Like you need to understand that for yourself as opposed to me as a nutritionist saying, well, this food is healthy no matter what. And, every body, the human body fits into the same box. And this
Mhm.
is the healthy food. And I don't care that you're telling me it bothers you. It's healthy. That old model doesn't work.
Mhm.
We need to really be able to focus on the individual and empower the individual to understand what's going on for them. So there's many ways that being a nutritionist is really helpful. I think, in many aspects. And then it's also kind of moving beyond that and being able to help the individual understand what's happening in their body as well.
So, is there a role of a food diary in weight loss when working with you?
Yes, just not the traditional sense.
Okay.
The traditional food diary is writing down what you ate after the fact.
Oh.
So, or, here's my points that I'm going to have today, here's my calories that I'm going to have today, and kind of writing it down from that perspective. What I encourage everyone that I work with to focus on is just let's make some decisions ahead of time. A lot of what's going on for us on a day-to-day basis is it's not the cognitive prefrontal cortex that's making food decisions. It's our
Mhm.
primitive brain that's making food
Yes.
decisions. It's that toddler part of our brain that really just is dopamine seeking that's driving our food habits every day. So when we make decisions ahead of time, we actually empower a different part of our brain to be in control of our food. So I tell all of my clients that exactly what I just told you. I
Mhm.
explain that to them and say when you make a decision ahead of time, it comes from a different part of your brain. So let's have that part of your brain decide how you want to eat, what foods those are going to be, how hungry you're going to be, and how satisfied you're going to be. And make that decision ahead of time. And then when you get to that moment and your brain starts negotiating, you know exactly where that's coming from. and then I'll give you tools to help you manage that. But that is really, I think, the most impactful form of food diarying is using it to make decisions ahead of time, and really, I think, connect with your physiology again and get back to like being able to feel hunger and feel satiety as you eat.
So people often, when I talk to them about weight, not in the clinical capacity, not as a doctor or patient, but as a coach and a
Mhm.
client relationship, they come to me and they say, "Put me on a diet."
Yes.
Does dieting work? Like a majority of people think dieting is the answer to their
Yeah.
struggles.
Yeah. Well, it's also kind of the only option out there.
Right.
If you're just a layman looking
Mhm.
for how do I lose weight,
Mhm.
your search is gonna yield thousands of different diets for you to
Diets.
try.
Yeah.
And although we might understand on some level that like there's something else going on,
Hmm.
what are those options?
Right, right.
It's not mainstream. So I get the same thing. People come and say, I want to lose weight. What diets do you recommend? I'm like, I don't recommend any diet. You tell me what feels good for you. You start empowering yourself to make your own weight loss plan by focusing on hunger, focusing on satiety, focusing on foods that feel really good for you. That's the only diet that matters, is what's going to work for you. And included in that is the indulgences that you want to have as well. I don't think in this day and age that telling someone they can't have XYZ food is realistic, because we can get it any
Because the
time of
brain
day.
cannot process negative and is immediately going to think about the same food.
Exactly. And it's there in front of us all of the time. So it's more important for you to be able to manage the emotions and
Yeah,
the thought processes around those foods that you
absolutely.
like than
Mm-hmm.
it is for me to say just don't eat them. So you need to be able to plan to have if it's ice cream, you need to be planning to have that ice cream as well. And there's when you plan to have those indulgences, it's a completely different experience than when you eat them out of really wanting it in the moment just because it's there, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, you
Yeah.
step into a different place of being able to enjoy the food instead of like eating behind your own back.
So, what do you recommend when your clients encounter setbacks on this path to weight loss?
Yeah. A lot of things. I think, again, it kind of, I always ask like what is going on for you? What's your mindset behind that? Sometimes when people come to me with setbacks, um, they're focused on their actions. So,
Mm-hmm.
I ate this. I need to just go ahead and cut this food out of my life. Okay, but what is the thought process behind why you're eating that food, why you're choosing that food? So I always look at the thought process behind that. Secondly, I teach everybody to neutrally evaluate what's going on. So, what's working, what's not working, and what do you need to do differently? Learning new things and changing your brain is a lot like learning a sport. I think, or learning an instrument.
Yeah, setbacks are a part of it. They are
It's
going to
part
be a
of it.
part of it. Just don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah, there's no reason to jump into beating yourself up. You really need to just be able to look at it neutrally and say, okay, this is what didn't work, and this is what I want to practice
Hmm.
moving forward. That's how we learn and grow and change our brains.
You sound like you really enjoy this work. What do you find most rewarding about it?
Oh my God, that is a really tough question. I think coming from or going through, nutrition school, being really passionate about helping Americans who are, waist deep in this weight struggle,
Mhm.
surrounded by all of the biologically engineered foods that are designed to make them,
The
go
perfect
crazy,
storm.
the perfect storm. And really also at the same time not having an understanding of where their weight struggle is coming from. It has been incredible to, graduate with that degree, really setting out to help people, really realizing that the traditional path was
Yeah.
not helping people
Yeah.
and kind of then having to go on my own journey of self-discovery because then I found myself where a lot of my clients and patients have been,
Mhm.
where I was overweight and I was just wanting to eat all the time. And I was like, okay, there's something else to this and we really need to take this deeper. So that journey has been really powerful for me. And now being on the other side and being able to share these tools with people, being able to help people lose weight in a real way where they get to live their lives and they get to have freedom with food and they get to also have foods that they like and feel really good every day is just incredible.
Yeah, that's really empowering your clients. So
Mm-hmm.
great. What do you think is the problem with stress eating, and what do you think is a way to deal with stress eating? I know that we mentioned that you help people with their thought process, but let's say something really stressful happened in their life. And that can be triggering
Mm-hmm.
as well, right? So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so I've had this the basic amount of stress. We're busy with our career, we've got kids, we're running around all the time. I That really just turns that part of your brain on. That's wanting to get pleasure from food, wanting to get dopamine from food, not really understanding, okay, so we're dealing with an uncomfortable emotion. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have to deal with this anymore. Let's just go grab a snack that's going to make everything feel better. So, managing that, I teach my clients a 5-step process
Mm-hmm.
to really, again, slow everything down, take it back into your body and be able to process the emotion of that your body's experiencing in that moment of desiring to eat and of stress so that you can kind of walk yourself out of that current emotional state
Mm-hmm.
and get yourself back to a place where you feel like you're in control and you're empowered and you don't need the food to solve for that emotion. And then I think the other piece of that, I have a lot of clients who have gone through some really big events in their life
Mm-hmm.
with loved ones and really serious things that have happened and they come to me and say, this is what's going on and I've found myself eating and I'm like, it's just time to give yourself some grace and some space.
Yeah.
Allow yourself that time to go back to old habits. Like this isn't it's we're not in a rush
Mm-hmm.
to get you to where you want to be, and having compassion for yourself and giving yourself what you need is more important than rushing out of using food to manage your emotions. You're going to be able to figure it out. We're going
Mm-hmm.
to do that together. And when something really big happens, you also have to give yourself the space to process that.
Absolutely. So I had a lot of fun listening to you. I think you did a great job describing the whole thought process and brain management behind consistent long-term weight loss. Um, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so I would say Instagram is a great place. It's my name, Hayley, Hayley underscore Sohn, Sohn. That's my last name. And then you can try my website as well, which is basically itmeals.com. Um, and there's a link there to join my wait list to work with me. And those are the two best places.
Okay, awesome. And in the end, is there something that I forgot to ask that you would like to mention?
Um, No, I think this was great. You asked a lot of really good questions and we hit a lot of good points. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, likewise.